what I'm going to share with you really is my expertise in building sustainable innovation systems. My background is that most of you, I developed a product many years ago. 15 million people a week use this product. It's been over a £1 billion turnover. That was on the design and development side. Then my career sort of changed into advising businesses such as Procter & Gamble, a global thought leader, looked at innovation processes in the BBC and Sky. What I've done recently is that I came back to Lancashire about 5 years ago, and we established a sustainable and scalable innovation ecosystem, which I'm going to show not necessarily some of the technical aspects, but I've chosen the metaphor to talk to you about body and mind, about what do you need to do to set up effective innovation ecosystems. So we now have this Productive Innovation Centre. It's been so successful that independently it's been evaluated. Our companies on average go by 29%. Over the last 2 years, we've supported 108 businesses, and it's created 48 new products. And on average, our organisations employ 3.2 people. It's now going to go into Liverpool. In terms of innovation, is that I'm a professor of innovation, and the reality is one of those much abused words. What I do with innovation is that I deal with 3 issues strategically. I help organisations manage uncertainty and complexity, which is this front end. We then help people, teams and organisations make sense of issues and opportunities, and then we support them to put in place action plans to deliver impact. So there's 3 things here: managing uncertainty and complexity, making sense of issues and opportunities, and putting in place. What I want to share with you is that for many, innovation is like searching for a needle in a haystack. So I want to sort of break down. There are 2 elements I want to share with you that are crucial to building sustainable innovation ecosystems. And I'm going to refer to the first stage as the body. These are what I will call the structural aspects. Successful innovation ecosystems all have some form of systematic process. And what this helps to do is that it helps to create a clear stakeholder journey for participants, but it's supported by coordination. There's 2 themes key messages I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about facilitating innovation and coordinating innovation. The second element of systematic innovation is ensuring the fact that there's an innovation thread. Many people get lost in an innovation process and it becomes ineffective. So the first thing that all successful innovation ecosystems have, they have a systematic process. Secondly, is that they have usable tools. And these tools do fundamentally 2 things. Is that they help individuals, teams, organizations ask the right questions. I get asked all the time about success in innovation. Organizations fail because they don't ask the right questions. Most organizations can deliver things, but if they're not asking the right questions, they're not focused, they're not orientated in the right way. The second important aspect about successful sustainable innovation systems is these tools helped to unlock understanding, and these then help effective coordination through the process of innovation. The third element in this is that they're all evidence-based. They drive evidence-based decision making. And I'm going to come back to one of the body issue, the mind issues later on, and make the connection with this. Is that from my experience over the last 15 years, is that these sustainable systems, if they're not evidence-based, it's very difficult to get engagement both at a high level and at a ground level. They're now data-driven innovation. And one of the other things I'll share with you is that successful organizations who have these systems, what they do better than unsuccessful organizations, they maximize the use of available internal data. And what I can share with you is that the vast majority of organizations I deal with fail to use their internal data effectively. And so there's a combination here with being evidence-based decision making, but the ability to use the data that's there effectively. So those create three structural things that help build sustainable ecosystems. You'd think then, okay, this is fantastic. This should be a very easy process. However, you still get, even with these structural elements, the adoption of innovation and use of innovation can be still challenging within an organization. And so this is why I wanted to share with you this notion of the metaphor of the body and mind. There's one component I'll share with you that glues these processes together. Is that, and what we found is that what an essential element of any sustainable innovation ecosystem is establishing a common language. And let me give you a case study about this. Is that about 15 years ago, I was asked to go to Holland by a very large global company that were having problems with their innovation. And they'd flown in 3 of the global innovation directors from different parts of the world. And I asked them one simple question at the beginning of our activities. I asked them, each of them, to define how they how did they define innovation within their organization. And what was interesting, as we went through these 3 senior people, all of them had a different interpretation of what innovation meant and how they defined it. And this is a common challenge. If you have misunderstanding of what innovation means within a senior level, how do people on the ground? This then maximizes the misuse of language. And just to go through this is that innovation, its true definition by OECD is a process for delivering something new. But it's a word that gets confused with creativity and being innovative. And innovation doesn't necessarily have to be innovative. And too often, people and organizations are misusing the word innovation and don't have a common language. Organizations that achieve a common language have a much more effective impact in delivering and engaging people with innovation, because people understand it, they have a common starting point, and they have a reference point that they can engage and build people together. And this is what I'd say is, I call it the glue. This common language glues together the body and mind. How often have we had frustration of getting people to break down the resistance to change? And one of the previous speakers is that a lot of my work is about helping individuals, teams and organizations break down the resistance to change. And what I'm going to share with you now is 3 attributes that contribute to reducing resistance to change. Firstly, it's about having you could call it a culture, an environment where individuals can positively embrace discomfort. Is that in innovation, one of the challenges that I call it the elastic band theory. Many people I deal with is that some of the subjects that we get into, they've already discussed it previously, they've talked about it, they've tried it, but what they haven't done, they haven't changed their existing practice. And I call this the elastic band. So what happens is they pull the elastic band, but they don't snap the band. They don't push it beyond discomfort. What they do is they take it so far and it slips back. And so what they finish up doing is still maintaining their existing practices. So this element here in terms of the mind, embracing positive discomfort, is two aspects. In terms of people and process, you have to have facilitators who help individual teams and organizations ask difficult questions. What this does then, you can have to facilitate these individual teams in order to get themselves out of their comfort zones so they can change their practices. So this is one aspect, this ability to embrace discomfort through using difficult questions. The second element in this is changing mindsets. And we know this is, mindset change is as commonly used as the word of innovation. But how often have we failed to achieve a mindset change? What I can share with you is that, that there's one element that helps what we call realize the uncomfortable truth within a situation. It's providing understandable evidence to a situation scenario that makes individuals and teams recognize an uncomfortable truth. What this leads to is what we call the OMG moment, the facilitating an oh my God moment. And what this is the point, and I can highlight this in hundreds of cases where at a particular point there's been a pivot within individuals and in teams to accept that an issue or an opportunity exists, and it acts as a catalyst for changing those mindsets. So you can see what I'm saying is the structural things are important, but in terms of getting change behavior in individual teams and organizations, these mind elements are really the important aspects combined with this common language. What I'm going to do now is show you the final element to this, is that the third element is about facilitating agreement. So you've gone through this positive discomfort, you've provided evidence to change the mindset, but fundamentally, we have to get people and process to have agreement that the challenge exists. And from that, we get a commitment to change. Therefore, it can take place. And the second element then, you're facilitating agreement to take action. And I might be stating the obvious, but many organizations don't have the processes and practices, the facilitation capability and coordination to do these three things about asking awkward questions, providing the evidence for mindset change, and facilitating agreement and action. So out of those three things, I just finally share with you is that there are 7 components that I can share with you over the last 25 to 30 years that have contributed to understanding how we scale. Because my expertise now is that I do not just helping organizations innovate, but to scale innovation beyond the champions. So what you can see here is that there are 7 components. The language is the glue in between. And we have, just to reiterate, it's about the hard issues on the left, such as processes, tools, and evidence and data. The common language acts as the glue. On the right-hand side, we have the soft issues, and these soft issues are crucial to adoption and embedding, and they link to getting people out of their comfort zones, getting people to change their mindsets, and facilitating agreement and commitment in people, projects, and teams. And the final thing I would share is the fact that we've identified success is driven by 2 key roles. The facilitator, their role as a facilitator is to talk about these awkward questions. The coordinator then is to take people through a journey, and they work collaboratively together to help people to understand how they're going to go through that journey and deal with those questions.